Well, it's unbelievable that the federal government can override the state governments like this. State rights are being completely disregarded. And I think it's an atrocity. Every single politician up there should be thrown out, and we've got to start all over again. Our agencies have become little Hitlers, and will not even allow the states to do anything. I think it's an atrocity.
It is all about power. I appreciate the call, Dick. Anything else?
Yes, we need to get these corporate monopolies busted up and back to companies that are responsible and not be regionalized. Why do we got BP out in the Gulf and running our line up in Alaska and stuff?
Well, notice it's BP whose symbol is the green flower. They're the ones always pushing the environmental tyranny, and I think they're behind it. I mean, they gave orders that they knew were going to cause an explosion. Their oil company workers are on record saying, we knew this was going to happen, and you know, they can say, well, we didn't do it on purpose, but they knew, drilling enough of these super deep wells, that if they did this in an unconventional, half, you-know-what way, slip-shot way, that it was going to result in this, and now they're using it. There's no doubt they're using it. I appreciate your call. Good points, Dick. Stuart in Virginia, you're on the air with Lindsey Williams. Go ahead, Stuart.
Hey, Alex, first time to talk to you. You're an honorable guy doing a good job here.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Okay, I'm sort of an inventor, so I kind of have a lot of understanding of mechanics and stuff like that. And I remember I listened to these guys. They had an interview on them from CNN, and these guys had survived the blast or whatever. And they asked them, what did it sound like? And one of the guys said it sounded like the tail of the beast or the devil, the dragon himself. Now, I'm not putting anything biblical into this, but what I'm saying is, he said, this was a seasoned oil guy, he said he was on the rig, he never heard anything like this in his life. He said it was like the pit of hell was coming out of that thing when it was burning. So I know at 30, that you think this well, the pastor, you think this well was, he said it was 25,000 feet down?
Yeah, this well is 5,000 feet in the ocean. Then when they began at the ocean floor, they went between 25 and 30,000 feet when they hit this strata of oil. But the reason this gentleman heard things like that that's never been heard before, because from all the sources that I can talk with, there has never been a well hit on the face of the earth that had between 20 and 70,000 pounds per square inch of pressure. This caused an explosion such as probably never been heard before.
Well, Lindsey, I like your analogy of being in a jet airplane at 33,000 feet. This well is 30,000 feet under the ocean floor, 5,000 feet of water above it. So that's a greater distance from being up in a jumbo jet looking down on mountains that look like little molehills. I mean, that is at a deep oil well, and they're finding incredibly high-pressured oil and gas 25, 30,000 feet down below the earth. I mean, there are so many mysteries of this world. And who knows what they're going to tap into one day drilling into the earth. I mean, man knows so little. And look at this disaster and think about all the nanotech, the genetic engineering, the cross-species manipulations, all of the disasters they've had. The Hadron Super Collider over in CERN, Switzerland, where their own scientists say, yeah, there's a small chance it could make a black hole or a singularity or a strangelet and could destroy the earth. I mean, it's a recklessness, and this just gives us an idea of bigger disasters to come as man's common sense doesn't match up to the incredible knowledge we've now gained, but not just the knowledge, the playing around in a fireworks factory with a flamethrower, not knowing what we're going to hit, what we're going to catch on fire. It seems like a ticking time bomb.
This is a super deep well. Please understand what BP has done here. They were copying the Russians because they knew that they could become the leader of oil production in the world next to Russia itself if they accomplish this. Super deep well. They are treading into areas that humankind has never treaded into before.
And the Russians, of course, 2 weeks. And, of course, the Russians 2 weeks ago released a film footage of them using a hydrogen bomb to put out one of these super deep wells on land. So, I mean, it's one thing to put one out on land using a nuke. It's another thing to do it in the ocean when you've already got all these fissures. This will probably just blow a bigger hole, and now you'll have a whole bunch of other strata of oil coming up out of it. And then BP will get what it wants. It'll get its carbon tax. And then they've already said they're going to create a subsidiary of BP. This company will be allowed to implode, and the money like Enron will move on to the next operation. Let's talk to David in Oregon. David, you're on the air with Lindsey Williams. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it, Alex. And by the way, my wife and I appreciate you very, very much. My question to you is, and to Lindsey, is as far as the oil well is concerned, you know the live BP broadcast that they have on the internet?
Yes.
Is that in fact of the oil wellhead?
They say it is. They're such incredible liars. Who knows? Lindsey?
That's right. I agree exactly with what you said. You cannot depend on anything they say.
But I think the answer is we don't know, sir. Anything else?
The reason why I was asking was because I helped put the fires out in Kuwait, and the oil well fires that we had over there, of course, were considerably different. But I was looking at this, the plumage coming off this head, and I found it interesting that if it was, I wanted the distinction. When they broke the well, when the well was first came in, did it was that when it got the 70,000 pounds pressure or up to that, or are they saying that it's 70,000 pounds of pressure now? And the reason why I'm asking is because if you look at the pictures on the video, you can see that there is there's all kinds of material floating around in the water. If it was 70,000 pound psi of oil pressure that was actually coming out of that head, there would be so much turbulence the ROVs couldn't be around that. And you can see that the stuff floating around in the water is just lightly going into the plume and coming out. So
well, that's a point I wanted to say, and I'm really glad we're taking your calls on this and stay there because I want you to be able to have a counterpoint. I'm no expert, but I know it's under 5,000 feet of water, so it's under incredible pressure, and that might cause something coming out at a higher pressure to at least look like it was moving slower. But I don't understand all the hydrology, so I'm just speculating here. But this is a question I'm going to expand on tomorrow, and we'll open the phones up because it doesn't look like it's coming out with that much pressure. It's just kind of, coming out like it's, 500 pounds of pressure. I mean, we've all seen water coming out of a water drain, and if you put black dye in it, it would look about like this. It doesn't look like it's these, tens of thousands of barrels a day. So that's a really good point. And I've sat there so many times and watched the live wellhead cam, and it just doesn't look like it's that much oil. And I'm not saying versus what Lindsey's source says, tens of thousands of pounds of pressure, or what the mainstream media is saying now, that it's 60-plus million gallons or whatever, day 60-something. I mean, it's all estimations. Lindsey, your comments on that. It's a really good question.
Yeah, I did have an oil man that responded to this. I have not mentioned it before because I just, I think so. This oilman said to me, he said, I've watched those pictures. Now, he's not with BP, another oil company. He said, I have watched those pictures, and he said, they don't make any sense. He said, I can't believe that this was really the pictures of what's happening down there at that wellhead. That was his response.
And notice how the media is providing this video for us. Anything else, caller?
Yeah, I'd like to say one more thing. The noticing, the video, by the way, which just went off the air, but noticing in the video that the ROVs are moving around freely with free motion, floating at will and so forth, positioning themselves at different points around the well. There's no turbulence to speak of that you can see in the area. The stuff is coming out as we just spoke about. But what's even more interesting is that understanding that this well is at 4,900 feet thereabouts, almost a mile down. Considering the differential, 70,000 pounds PSI would give you about 25 to 35,000 pounds PSI worth of differential. And even at that depth, you'd have turbulence beyond your imagination. And I don't see anything like this. So what I'm seeing here is a lie, and I am an engineer. This stuff here is stuff I've been doing for many, many years. I gave Booth and Coots and Red Adair the technology to put out the fires that you saw in Kuwait using the hydrotube with the nitrogen shower nozzle and the jet engines with the half tracks back in 1990. This stuff that I'm seeing, Alex, is a lie, and I think that the American people are being spoofed on this. That's all I have to say.
Well, David, don't hang up. I mean, I believe you sound very credible. I'd like to have you on as a guest. If you want to not use your name, just send us some basic credentials, and then we can make up whatever name you like, as long as I know that you are an engineer who's worked with petroleum, because these are the type of guests that I do want to get on the show.